Data is the fuel of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is built on AI models. For example, large language models or computer vision models or similar. Now, these models are powered by smart algorithms. Algorithms, or behind every smart algorithm, lies a critical ingredient: data. And not just any data, human data. In building these groundbreaking AI models lies a complex and sometimes troubling story of how data is sourced, processed, and used. In today's episode, we will be diving into the intricate role of data in artificial intelligence, and not just examining the technology aspect of it, but focusing on the human aspect of it, the human element. In past videos, I've said that artificial intelligence is built on human intelligence. But we often do not pay enough attention to the human element. There is a human element in the process of building artificial intelligence. This process has often referred to, or has been often referred to as, the human in the loop process. So, what I will be going into briefly in this episode is breaking down the human in the loop process so we understand the role of humans in the loop, so to speak, and focusing on the exploitation and ethics around the human in the loop process as we stand right now. And in the end, I will be calling for action. And this action is what I have tagged as the government in the loop process. I believe we need to bring in policies that are developed by government, of course, into protecting the humans in the loop of building artificial intelligence. So, stay with me as we dive in. Welcome back. So, to begin, we will be examining the AI active learning process with the human in the loop process. What we need to understand is modern AI models rely heavily on a vast data set collected from all around the globe. In many cases, the task of curating, labeling, and processing this data is cost intensive, so it's very expensive. And so what we find is these tasks are usually outsourced. Many Western companies contract this work to teams in countries like Kenya, India, or any labor-friendly country. The role of the humans in curating this data, labeling it, and processing it starts by having them as a reviewer. So the human reviewer will sift through this vast data set, which includes content from all around the globe, and they will ensure the relevancy of the content, the accuracy of it by labeling it, and also ensuring that it is safe for the AI consumers, which is you and I, the users of the AI tools. So for that to happen, what you find is the human acts as the labeler of data, and that human will go through this vast amount of data set, so they are exposed to all types of content, and they would ensure that the content is relevant, is accurate, and is also safe. Now, for that human to be able to label a content as safe to an AI, that means they've also labeled a content as not safe to an AI, which inadvertently means that that human has been exposed to bad content, to unsafe content. So that is the human in the loop data processing pipeline. The human is the reviewer of this vast data set, ensuring the relevancy, accuracy, and safety of the data used by AI. Having understood how the human in the loop process works, I will then be going into the hidden cost, or the hidden human cost, in exploitation of the humans, and also how modern Western companies are outsourcing trauma to labor-friendly countries. So stay with me as we continue. There is a hidden human cost in the advancement of artificial intelligence today. The AI models are power tools such as chatbots and recommendation systems rely heavily on low-paid workers in labor-friendly countries like Kenya. These workers are responsible for filtering, reviewing, and labeling this data, and the data is used to train the AI systems. Unfortunately, included in this data are graphic, violent, and disturbing content. Many of these workers are left unprotected, underpaid, and traumatized by this process. Data reviewers are often exposed to traumatic content in images and videos that can leave a lasting psychological scar on them. Despite their vital role, many of these workers receive little support, little to no compensation or recognition for the emotional toll this work has on them. This exploitation highlights the severe imbalance in the world today, as these AI Western companies reap billions from AI-driven services, yet the benefit rarely trickles down to the very community responsible for providing the data labor required for training the AI systems. So this then brings us to the loophole in the system. The human in the loop process has become the process of outsourcing trauma to Africa. The exploitation is in plain sight. Companies like OpenAI and Meta have been reporting to outsource data moderation to Africa, where labor is cheap. Workers report PTSD-like symptoms after reviewing harmful content with little mental health support provided to them by these big companies or representatives of these big companies. There is a YouTube documentary, which I'll put the link below, and it was about how AI companies exploit data workers in Kenya. So the focus was on Kenya. And in that documentary, it highlights the government element, where government is currently missing in action in Africa. And this brings us to the government in the loop process. The human in the loop process fuels the growth of artificial intelligence today. Africa remains the #1 labor-friendly continent to go to. So I will rename human in the loop as Africa in the loop process. Now, Africa in the loop, or Africa's labor, is responsible for AI's growth. However, people of Africa working in this industry are not being protected. And so it calls for bringing in the government in the loop process. Government cannot be seen to be missing in action because data workers are key to the process or to the growth of artificial intelligence, and they need to be protected. Going by a recent investigation done by Guardian, and when I say recent, this is about a year or two ago. I'll put the link as well. It's also on the internet. You can Google it. So the Guardian focused on investigation among Kenyan Facebook content moderators. It's an often cited example for outsourced digital labor. So it's online. You can Google it. And in that investigation, it was reported that 81% of those examined exhibited severe to extremely severe PTSD symptoms from reviewing those content. This finding underscores the urgent need for systemic reforms and better protection for outsourced digital labor to labor-friendly countries in Africa. And then this brings us to what I call the Africa AI Act. In the EU, there is the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, which was before the recent advancement in AI, and now there is the EU Artificial Intelligence Act as well. What this does is it enables EU or the Europe in general or Europe as a whole, to enforce strict GDPR laws and AI protection laws to protect their citizens. And also in the US, I know there's a debate on federal data privacy bills being passed there as well. With all these countries protecting their citizens, much of Africa and its citizens remains a wild, wild west when it comes to data regulation. This imbalance creates a loophole in the AI growth process because it lets AI companies offload risky work to regions with weaker protection. Which is why I said the human in the loop process has become an exploitation loophole in the growth of artificial intelligence. This needs to be corrected, right? So we need to bring in government in the loop. And government in the loop will serve as a blueprint for equity where AI benefits all, not just a selected few. Okay? To fix this, we need government in the loop. And it needs to create policies that ensure AI serves humanity, not just the shareholders of these AI or big AI Western companies or Western AI companies. Government in the loop process is for all governments globally. So I'm not just focused on Africa because we all have to play a part in this. Now, government in the loop for Western governments in US and the EU, three main things need to be considered. Mandating ethical audits. This will require AI companies to disclose data sourcing and moderation practices. Okay? So we need to disclose it to keep us all safe, to ensure that the data is being sourced and processed and moderated ethically. The second thing is a compensation law. This ensures a profit-sharing models for regions contributing to data labor, right? So AI revenue will be reinvested in local infrastructures for such countries. And also, global mental health standards. These AI companies benefiting from this must also fund therapies for content moderators worldwide regardless of the location. So if these policies are not already in the EU AI Act or whatever bill is happening in America, a government in the loop process for artificial intelligence or the growth of artificial intelligence needs to include these three policies in any Western government regulation. Again, I would say mandating ethical audit, ensuring that these companies disclose how the data is sourced and moderated, ensuring there's a compensation law which ensures that the AI revenue is invested back into the local infrastructure of these labor-friendly countries, and also a global mental health standard. So, government in the loop in Africa, focusing on Africa, what African governments need to ensure is included in it. Of course, there will be a lot of laws that will, I'm not a lawyer, but these key things, I'm giving us three key things that needs to be included to ensure there's fairness in the advancement of artificial intelligence worldwide. Now, for African governments, there needs to be a trauma-informed legislation, right, which would enforce banning exploitative contracts and require mental health support for the data workers. That's the first one. The second one is data sovereignty, which means the claiming of ownership of citizen-generated data and negotiate license fees from AI firms as well. So we need to know who owns the data, right? So data sovereignty needs to be addressed. And third is regional alliances, where African countries partner with other African nations to create a unified AI policy for Africa in general. It could be, I don't know, an AU data protection pact, whatever it's called. If it doesn't exist, we need to put that together and enforce it. This protects the citizens of Africa from being exploited by Western companies. The road ahead, and can AI be redeemed? The future doesn't have to be bleak, okay? Imagine AI trained on ethically sourced data. That is the future, okay? The same passion that was put into eradicating blood diamonds, hopefully it's fully eradicated, needs to be put into the exploitation of data sourcing in labor-friendly countries. Okay, so I'm proposing, well, the proposed solution, if it doesn't exist, would be to say have some form of ethical data sourcing certification. So every AI model needs to have an ethical data sourcing certification attached to it that proves that that AI model was trained on ethically sourced and reviewed and processed data. Like a fair trade for AI, something like that, okay? Government needs to also start funding open source models, because as it stands right now, only a few corporate companies have the monopoly around training of AI models. Government-funded open source models will break companies' corporate monopolies as well, right? And there should be some grassroots advocacy as well. So support NGOs fighting for digital workers' rights is also key in that process. So that is the role ahead, and those are the solutions that I am proposing. I'll recap again. Having an ethical data sourcing certification for every AI model trained. I know a lot of them have been trained. We can apply this certification retrospectively as well. Having government invest in funding open source model training, and also supporting NGOs that fight for digital workers as well. So, in conclusion, the role of data in AI is undeniable. Okay? AI is built on data, right? And so we need to now ensure that the role of sourcing ethical data is undeniable. So it's the need for a fair and ethical practice in the collection and use of data in training these AI models. It's time for us to reimagine how we integrate human insight and protection into the AI pipeline. Okay, I think that covers it all. AI, the advancement of AI is good. Data is key. Human in the loop process is pivotal in training of AI and ensuring AI growth. I would say it's time for us to ensure that the data that these AI models are trained on are ethically sourced, processed, and reviewed. Let's build an AI future that works for everyone. That's it on this episode. It's something that means a lot to me, and I hope everyone takes it seriously. And everyone keeps saying, what's the role of Africa in artificial intelligence? And when China came out with DeepSeek, it was like Africa needs to start building its own model and all of that in between, forgetting that Africa's labor has fueled AI's growth. So Africa plays a big role in AI as we speak today, and we should take it seriously. We should ensure that Africa is not taken for granted, the citizens of Africa are not taken for granted. We should plug the loophole where these AI companies stop exploiting the citizens of labor-friendly countries so that AI and its future can work for everyone, not just a selected few. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.